You know, they say I'm down with you. It's me and you against the world, baby. It's ride or die. Us against everybody. Until all of a sudden, they want to leave the ride, join the world, and become part of everybody. Let's get into it. One of my favorite Hollywood celebrities, Jada Pinkett Smith, whom I will now refer to as simply Jada Pinkett, since according to her, they have been divorced in heart and mind for the last 7 years, just not on paper. She did a interview on the Today Show, and it's a lot to cover. I have a lot to comment on different parts of the interview and why all this newfound information is coming out overall. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this one like this. I'm going to play segments of the interview, stop, and comment on that segment. That way I can get everything out and I don't skip anything. Let's get into it.
Was that in 2016, you and Will decided that you were going to live completely separate lives.
Yes.
It was not a divorce on paper,
right,
but it was a divorce. So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
yes,
y'all have been apart.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't necessarily shock me. And the reason that doesn't necessarily shock me is because you would have had to seen different segments of Jada Pinkett Smith's, I can't keep calling her Smith, that. You would have seen segments of Jada Pinkett's Red Table Talk to show you how her mindset is, how she felt about marriage, and honestly, how she treated Will. A man who, in my opinion, to his detriment, bent over to her too far. Check this out from her Red Table Talk.
What was your hardest time in our marriage?
I think the turning point in our relationship for me happened when I turned 40.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I had a midlife crisis.
Yeah, your 40th birthday was my low point. Her 40th birthday was going to be my thing.
It was going to be a splash.
It was going to be a splash. Mary J. Blige performed. I debuted the film, all of that. It was going to be the thing that lifted her out of this midlife crisis, and it was going to be my deepest, most beautiful proclamation of love, and we did it. And I had found tapes of Jada's grandmother, and her grandmother had recorded these voice messages over the last 8 months of her life.
Wow.
And it was tapes that Jada had never heard.
Wow.
So Jada had to sit there and listen. I understand thoroughly now. At the time I didn't. But she's listening to these never before heard tapes of one of the dearest people she's ever known in her life, in front of all of these people. So she's holding it together, she's getting it together. Then I have Mary J. Blige performing. The whole time I'm like,
yeah.
The little boy that wants mommy to say everything was wonderful, right? And she's having a really difficult emotional time. And then when we got back to the room, it was me, you, and mommy, and we were talking about the next day, and there were things planned for the next day, and she said, I'm not sure I want to do anything the next day.
I just wanted to have intimate time.
Just intimate time. And I was like, well, I'll cancel tomorrow. She was like, it's my birthday.
Yeah.
Right? And she's told me that the party was the most ridiculous display of my ego.
Woo.
I was devastated, even worse than a divorce. We broke up within our marriage and got back together again.
Right.
Yeah.
I had to rebuild.
I had to
something
rebuild with new rules and
Something way different.
something way completely different.
The man spent 3 years organizing a party to bring his wife, the love of his life, out of a midlife funk. And she turned it around and said, that was all about you. 3 years of planning was all about him. That is essentially all you need to know about Jada Pinkett. She is a selfish bitch. No appreciation for what he did. He found these tapes. He spent 3 years planning. He put together this elaborate event. I know people who barely get a text message from people that they are sleeping with, damn being married to. I know married folks that can't get a dinner because they're too busy to celebrate. This man put 3 years together, spent 3 years planning to bring you out of an apparent midlife funk. And it was all about him?
Get the fuck out of here.
But that would be bad. What makes it worse is the next part. And here is where I put blame on Will.
She's told me that the party was the most ridiculous display of my ego.
Woo.
Crushed, right? And to this day, I know I was crushed because it was true.
Yeah.
It wasn't a party for her.
Yeah.
No, dude, she was not right. She was wrong as three left shoes. She convinced you that you were wrong. And in order to keep her happy, you went along with it. There was nothing about that, Will Smith, that says that was about your ego. That says everything about her. An unappreciative, selfish bitch.
Yeah, that was it. That's it.
And now she wants to tell the world how y'all have been divorced for the last 7 years. Well, why now? Why did she say it now? I believe we all know the answer to that. The reason that she's saying it now, well, let's see what she has to say about saying it now.
But in public, the couple, who married in 1997, denied the gossip about their marriage. Over the next several years, Jada and Will kept up the appearance of a committed married couple.
I feel like you're a straight talker,
I am.
except you're not sometimes.
Yeah.
So why do that? Like, what was the reason?
I think just not being ready yet. Still trying to figure out between the two of us
Yeah.
how to be in partnership, right? And in regards to how do we present that to people, you know? And we hadn't figured that out.
Now, I'm with it. Believe it or not, I understand you want to keep up appearances of a married couple. I get it. Believe me, I get it. I've known people that have stayed together because they have minor children and want to raise the children together in a unified household. I understand. I know people that are simply married on paper simply due to business arrangements. They know that either of them leaving would cost too much money. I understand keeping up appearances. I get it. But if it's as cut and dry and as we both live our own separate lives as possible, if that's truly what it is, then why did the August Alsina thing mean so much? Why did it have to be addressed? Why did it have to be spoken about?
They even faced a scandal when Jada had what she called an entanglement with a family friend.
It's a situation that I consider private.
You just feel like it ain't really nobody's business.
but
But now Black Twitter has claimed it as their business.
you and I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And we decided.
I was done with your ass.
Yeah, you kicked me to the curb.
I was done with you.
Yeah. We
Marriages have that, though. Marriages have that.
Yeah, we basically, we broke up.
And then what did you do, Jada?
Well, you know, I think from there, you know, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement with August.
If y'all truly live your own separate lives, then that should have been the time that you say, hey, you know what? Hey, y'all, I get it. I understand why y'all are so upset, but Will and I are living separate lives right now. Why didn't you say it then? It's called a divorce. Apparently, by last statistics, 40+% of Americans get this on a daily. It's not that complicated, Jada. You come out, hey, we're divorced. Ta-da! So go and start that bullshit. No. Miss me with the bullshit. If it really was that cut and dry, you wouldn't have had to explain yourself. As a matter of fact, if it really was what you say it was and y'all are leading two separate lives, then why was it so hard for you to admit that you had an affair?
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship. Absolutely.
And why did Will look so devastated when you did? Check this out.
Different manner. I would definitely say we did. And it all started with, me wanting to help his health.
When Og first came around, he was really sick.
He was really sick, yeah.
And the outpouring for him from our family was initially about his health.
Yeah. And we found, and from there,
Yeah.
and we decided.
I was done with your ass.
Yeah, you kicked me to the curb.
I was done with you.
Yeah.
Now, did y'all catch that? I wasn't sure I was going to speak to you again. I kicked your ass to the curb. Does that sound like we've been separated talk, y'all? I'm just putting out there what they put out there. I'm putting out there what they put out there because they said afterwards we separated, we had some healing to do. Well, if y'all have been divorced for as long as y'all say y'all have, what healing needs to be done? Y'all saw Will. Did that look like a man who was leading his own separate life away from his wife? No. So again, miss us with the bullshit. Why is all this coming out now? It's easy. It's for her book.
When we met up with Jada in her hometown of Baltimore to talk about her candid new memoir, Worthy, she opened up about an issue that has been kept secret until now.
Her book, which is hilariously named Worthy. Worthy. And I was thinking to myself, that's a hell of a title. Because what are you worthy of? From my perspective, you are worthy of disdain, worthy of negative titles. You are worthy of experiencing severe backlash for all this bullshit. That's what you are worthy of. You are worthy of our mockery and contempt because you are shoveling so much shit, you don't know where to shovel it. Oh, well, we've been divorced for the last 7 years, but I kind of got into an entanglement. She didn't want to even say it. If it was something that was so casual and understood, shouldn't it just be cool? Right? Okay. As if that was not bad enough. As if that was not bad enough, y'all. Then, being and it's a term y'all are going to hear me use repeatedly, the selfish bitch that she is, she threw her husband under the table about the Chris Rock incident at the Oscars. Check it out.
On Oscar night 2022, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock after Chris made a crack about Jada's hair.
I could tell it bothered you. You did an eye roll.
Right. Yeah. And I did that eye roll not so much for me. And I think this is really important. But the fact that there could be a jab at alopecia.
Get the out of here. Oh, you eye rolled alopecia. Comedians take shots at everything. They take shots at AIDS. They'll take shots at cancer. You eye rolled for alopecia. I didn't know alopecia needed a savior. Man, if you don't get
the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Let's see what else this lying bitch gotta say.
Will then went on a profane tirade warning Chris not to mention his wife's name. Jada couldn't believe what she was hearing.
What is going on? Now, first of all, I'm really shocked because, mind you, I'm not there. We haven't called each other husband and wife in a long time. But I'm like, what is going on right
keep
now?
My wife's name
out of your mouth, right?
I would play all the interviews they've done over the last 7 years where they have called each other husband and wife, but why bother? Let us continue.
And I'm like, But now I'm really worried for Will because I don't know what's going on.
She don't know what's going on. She don't know what's going.
This bitch can't be serious.
Immediately after the eye roll, he gets up, slaps Chris Rock. Now you may wonder, well, what would make you go from laughing to slapping a man? There are a lot of things in play, in my opinion, at that moment in his mind. But the trigger was that eye roll. Like most husbands, he saw his wife roll his eyes, especially at something, a joke made at her expense, and what happened happened. So for her to claim no culpability in that is straight up bullshit. You rolled your eyes at the joke. Oh, you don't know what set him off. Bitch, please. Man, if you don't get your line at, let's proceed.
And Chris looks to me and he says, Jada, I meant no harm. Now, I'm just out of it because I'm really worried about Will.
She was so worried, y'all, her ass just sat there. She didn't try to apologize to Chris. She didn't try to tell her husband, calm the down. None of that. But she's really shocked and appalled by what happened. You got the reaction that you wanted. Stop playing.
Get the fuck out of here.
Will doing? He's just sitting there.
And Will's still talking. He's like, he's still, because now he's mad because Chris is talking to me. And I go, Chris, this is about some old shit. That's all I could think to say, right? And I couldn't really take in his apology.
How unusual for Will, a guy who, I mean, on that kind of stage to do something so insane.
Absolutely.
It's totally out of character.
It's not him whatsoever.
That's the only truth that said. That is the only truth. She's right. I will say it again. I made a previous video on it after it happened. Oh, this is about some old shit. Not just one old incident, but years of built up shit. Anytime you see a couple that bad in public, you can only imagine how terrible it must be in private. I am willing to bet that the August Alsina thing wasn't the first one, wasn't the last. I am willing to bet that. It's just, it's been in the press, it's been in the paper, all that for years. For years, Will Smith has been the butt of jokes because most of celebrity inner circles knew what the fuck Jada Pinkett was, what she is, all about herself. So, ta-da. At that moment, that man snapped. You've heard a lot of wise people, a lot of people that have been, if not down that road personally, know people that have been. I know people that have been. I avoided the road, but I've been in a, I guess you want to call it, toxic relationship like that. So I know what it is. I know what happens when you have to suppress what you are as a person and especially as a man. And when somebody finally gives you that avenue, all hell breaks loose. So to say, for her to pull this, you know, no culpability, oh, I don't know, it wasn't on me, pisses me off. So not only does she decide to out their status, their marriage status, but then she wants to disavow any responsibility for this slap incident at the Oscars. That's bull. And do you know why all this is coming out now? Why all this is happening? You guessed it, Worthy. Because if she didn't talk about this, if she didn't give us these juicy nuggets, nobody would give a damn to buy that book. But now that she talks about how her and Will have been separated and living separate lives for 7 years, how she talks about her reaction with the slap, people can't wait to see what other nuggets are in there. People are going to go buy the book to see, oh, so what have you been doing for 7 years? What's really been going on? She just sold her 1 million copies. She's completely put herself out there, destroyed what little privacy their relationship had, and all of Will Smith's self-respect to sell. Remember how I started it off. It's me and you against the world until they want to become part of the world. Then it's you on your own. Will, if you don't get the out of this relationship now, you are a bigger fool than you look at this very moment.
So get your bags and get the hell on.
Catch y'all the next go around. Remember to stand up, stand out, think differently. Holla.